Welcome back to another Harmonious at Lunch. We got another amazing guest lined up today, Michelle Dewitt from my home state over here. She's on the other side of North Carolina. I'm in Raleigh. She's in Charlotte. So excited to have this conversation today. But we're going to talk about nonprofits, starting a company out of a personal mission against an injustice in the world. A beautiful, beautiful story of just strength, courage, and perseverance. I am super excited for this conversation. Michelle, thank you for joining me and welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Brandon. I'm happy to be on the show today.
Yeah, I'm super excited to dive in here. So why don't you, I know you have a book, you have a company, you have a nonprofit. Let's go back to the beginning. Tell me, where did all of this come from in your life? I know you had a interesting and unfortunate start.
Yeah, so as a child, I started my nonprofit. It's called Unbreakable Faith Incorporated. We are, of course, a nonprofit. It started when, as a child, I went through a horrific experience in dealing with being raped and molested, starting at the age of 4. And it continued. I was raped at 14. And it continued, and this was done by several family members. And so, as being a youth pastor, as I grew, I became a youth pastor. Love working with youth. They are my babies, and I worked in our local school system here. And so, as time went on, and I wrote my book about the some of the tragedies and challenges that happened in my life. I After the book was written, I was told that I need to start a nonprofit because of what I've been through, and also how I can help others.
Hmm. Yeah, and I think the interesting thing here, you had this awful situation happen to you,
Hmm.
but you changed my language. It happened to you, you made it happen for you, and you created
Hmm.
something good out of this, a book first and then a nonprofit. What was there any sort of a transformation that happened in your life with you internally in order to even put the book out?
Mm. So I'm not a journalist. I tell this all the time. I don't like to doodle journal or anything. That's not my thing. A lot of people do. But I had a friend that tell me, Michelle, you need to write a book. Every time you talk to the youth, you always I give them highlights. I didn't really go into detail, but I would always give them little things as far as challenges in their lives. And so I was told that I need to write the book. And so I did that, and that's how I got started. I also, like I said, I am a strong believer, and so the forgiveness happened as I accepted Christ and moved forward.
That's amazing. It's so powerful. And I want to kind of dive in there. So someone told you, or multiple people told you, you have to write a book because you have this amazing impact with kids, which is so cool to hear. How does a book become a nonprofit? Walk me through that
Mm.
process.
Okay, so with that happening, of course, I was seeking counseling, a coach to help me with the nonprofit organization because I didn't know anything, what to do. And so it started out with a coach helping me. It was someone that I knew, one of my friends, and she was a coach, and I wanted to find out how does this work. And she walked me through all the steps as far as the name, getting my tax ID number, making sure that all of my legal stuff was in order. As far as, like I said, the name, the tax ID number, making sure we were labeled as a nonprofit organization versus a profit organization. Because as you know, a profit organization, there are some things that you have to do, and it includes a lot of tax stuff. But with a nonprofit, it doesn't. It includes you filling out a form stating how much you have, made for the year. But those two different entities are just way different. And she did explain that to me. There is a lot of support with nonprofits. being a nonprofit it comes about with you helping the community, educating the community, working in different areas as far as building up those that are in impoverished areas.
Mm. Yeah, we have a soft spot for nonprofits at What If because you're so mission driven, and you exist to fight this problem that
Hmm.
exists in the world, and I love that. The
Hmm.
one shift that we always try to get people to make, it sounds like you're already there, but is that business is business, whether it's a nonprofit or a for profit. You have
Right.
you have to make money. You have to run it like a business, and
Yeah,
that's
you
why
do.
when you embrace that as a nonprofit, those are the nonprofits that excel and raise the most and make the biggest impact. So I love that you're already tying this to the harmonious architecture, the one
Mhm.
discipline that we quite frankly talk about the least, but is very important for nonprofits is risk and defense. It's traditionally called legal.
Ooh,
So
yes.
in a for-profit business, especially small companies, we tend to just look the other way with that. So, we get to the tax man when we have to, but
Right.
for you, that's super important that you're set up and you have the proper, business structure to be a nonprofit, because that
Mhm.
could be a disaster. But I want to talk a little
Mhm.
bit about another area that actually happens to be our favorite, which is navigate. I touched on it a little bit already, and I know you have it. That's your mission, your vision, and your core values. It's so present in nonprofits. What is the mission of your nonprofit? And while you're talking to, I want to put your website on the screen. So if you want to go check out Michelle's nonprofit, Unbreakable Faith, please, the website's on the screen. But tell me about your mission.
So the mission of our nonprofit is to educate, 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 and also put it out there to warn our parents and caregivers. We have workshops. One of the workshops that we have is called ATM. This particular workshop is amazingly transform and motivated youth. We normally, well, what we do is we go in and we talk to the youth about being transformed, because here it is, you have went through a detrimental experience. So we want you to know that you are more than what you're thinking, building up self confidence. We are working with our local CMPD here. We're working with other organizations that can help us, counselors, um, and those that have been in the nonprofit industry for quite some time underneath what our structure and what we're doing. We collaborate together in regards to our mission, which is to make sure that our children can overcome barriers, overcome barriers and receive success in life.
That's amazing. That's a beautiful mission, and I love
Mm-hmm.
educate, educate. So important, especially for the youth.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So tell me, looking forward, what's the vision for your nonprofit for the next 5, 10 years? Where are you going with this?
Yeah, so I am a strong advocate and I want the laws to change in regards to our youth and our teenagers. They are overlooked. More so, we're so political in regards to everything else except for our youth. We very seldom hear, other than if it's negative, about what accomplishments our youth and young adults have done, where they have come from. So, where we're going is to make sure that we go from county, city, state, nations to talk about how important it is to restore and reconcile in regards to our youth, our young adults, our family members, our parents. This has ripped a lot of families, and where that's what we're going with it. I'm looking for more support with the organization, more sponsorships, more grants, and that means that we have to put tooth and nail into letting everybody know who we are and what we are doing, and eventually, as the organization begins to grow. Um, we will begin to save more lives and youth from off the street with sex trafficking.
Yeah, that's a huge vision, and I love that. So looking back a few years, then how you got here. What are some of the trials and tribulations, if you will? The downsides of a nonprofit and how you got through that to where you are now.
The downside of beginning a nonprofit is that you learn you there are certain things is wording when it comes down to nonprofit, like when you're suggesting that you need some help. There's certain big corporations that are looking for keywords in order for them to even sponsor you or give you the monies that you're requesting. They look for a lot of collaboration, and being a nonprofit, you have to make sure that you get with people that have been in this for a while. And so that's a challenge that is still a continuous challenge for us, because we are still a new, organization. And so we are working with that. And sometimes, honestly, sometimes there are people who are in that same arena, and they don't want you to get before them. You find that out as well, whether it's a nonprofit or a profit. Everyone is not for you. And we've learned that as being a nonprofit, everyone's not for you. What you do is close the door and keep it moving. Don't stop. If you fall down, get back up. If it didn't go that way, that you visioned it to be, go back and look at your vision. Ask yourself the question: what was I lacking? What can I do better? Those are some of the things that I've looked at. And also, like I stated earlier, I had a coach, and I wanted to go a different way. She said, "That's not going to be something that you want to do." And she said it was just what I wanted to do was work with even younger children. My age group is 12 to 17, and then 18 up to 22. And I wanted to go down with it a little bit younger, because it is happening to 7-year olds as well. But she said to stay in that area because I had more experience with middle school and high schoolers. That's what I did working in the school system. And she said, because of the knowledge that I had, I needed to stay there. So it's a good thing to have a coach. It's a good thing to do a lot of research before you even get started with a nonprofit. There are so many agencies that are out there that will help you, but you have to have the correct wording. You have to have, all your ducks in a row when it comes down to that. Also, put out there in regards that you need sponsorship. We need sponsorship, as you say that, being a profit organization, you're going to get some money because you're making a profit. As a nonprofit organization, we have to put out there our mission statement, what we're doing, and that organization has to make a decision if they want to give to us as a nonprofit. So the downside is receiving a letter saying we're not going to assist at this time, or reach back out in about 6 months. And also the downside of it, even though I worked in the school system for 20 years, middle school and high school, um, going and getting back into the school system has been tough because of what we represent as being a nonprofit. You would think that, they're like, come on in. It's not. It's a lot of work, and it's a lot of proving yourself, you know. So yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense, and it's unfortunate. And that kind of leads me to what was coming to my mind, which is, do you see, because you represent a very touchy and sensitive topic, obviously.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's super important. I don't want to take away from that, but it's polarizing. Do you ever run into issues, whether it's companies, you hinted at it with schools, but when you're seeking donations and investments from people that don't want to be involved with you because of what you represent, and how do you navigate that?
Oh, absolutely. Oh my goodness. So what exactly what I'm doing now, talking to people on podcasts, YouTube, and advertisement is very important. You want to get the word out there. So when there are people that say, "Yo, that's too much," yeah, we believe in going a different direction. Like I said earlier, close the door and keep it moving. And the best way to keep that moving is go to the next organization, nonprofit, to see how you can get the help. Educate yourself more. as you grow the organization. There, like I said, there are doors that have been closed. I called this particular store, and I heard that they were helping out nonprofits. And when I called to speak with their HR person, and she asked me what we were doing, she said, "Wow, that's great. What a wonderful thing to do. But I don't want our particular store corporation to be a part of what you're doing because it can cause political issues." And I'm like, "What?" You hear this, and that doesn't make sense, does it? It doesn't add up. Especially when you do so much advertisement on television concerning youth. It just didn't make sense. And so you do have those who just back up and say no. Even churches, you would think that churches would say, you know what, we need to educate. There are so many churches that do not want to touch this subject at all. There has been a lot of uphill challenges, but it's not going to stop me. I'm going to keep going because I'm going to keep going because my mouth is not going to stop. I was silent for too long, too long. So I encourage anyone, if it's in your heart to give and help out organizations like mine, do it. There's been a lot of people who have been hurt in various ways. It could be, a spouse walking out on them, a single mother whose spouse is a father whose spouse may have passed away. Those grief, our youth deal with a whole lot more than that. And so I encourage anyone that's watching this show to keep it moving, keep going, don't give up and don't stop. And if you see that you need to start over, it's okay to start over. You can start over as much as you want, as long as the cliche is, you can fall down, but just get back up.
That is an inspiring, amazing message, and I can see that your fire is burning so strong, and that's what keeps you moving forward. I absolutely love that. So, real quick, I want to tie this to the Harmonious architecture, and then I want to figure out where people can connect with you. But let's go through this. So, the three areas that are really, really present for me right now, I mentioned two of them, and that is risk and defense. Nonprofits, I mean, that's non-negotiable. You got to be set up the right way. Your structure, your wording, your language, your legal, all that stuff. Your financial management. Like I said, we work with a number of nonprofits, and I understand the intricacies there and the importance of it. So please get a mentor, get a coach. Like Michelle said, if you are unsure of what you're doing, you want to start a nonprofit, or even, if you have a for-profit business, I see this a lot where for-profit business, but you want to have a nonprofit arm. Don't get confused. They are not the same thing. Please seek the right advice there. The other one that I mentioned, navigation. It's your traditionally strategic planning, your mission, vision, core values. If that's not present in this conversation, I don't know what was, but Michelle, you have that. It is rock solid for you. And that's the key. That's the foundation of business. We actually have, for those of you watching, we have a 5-day workshop coming up, the Next Level Business Bootcamp, whatif.com/navigate. If you want to solidify that foundation, get your mission, vision, core values intact and ready to rocket yourself through the growth of 2024 and beyond, you got to have that. And we're going to walk through it in that workshop. So please sign up. And we're going to get you looking and acting like a nonprofit, but you are a for-profit business. I can't tell you the power behind having a core navigation in your business that is so strong that your company and your culture knows what they're doing. And last but not least, inspire. Traditionally called inspire. Michelle, you have that. You have that fire in you. I can tell you lead your people, everyone associated with your mission so well, and you inspire them to take action towards accomplishing the mission and the vision of your company. So that's just a little bit of how this conversation ties to the Harmonious business architecture. I want to put Michelle's website back on the screen here. Please, if any of this resonated with you, please go check out what she's doing. Check out her book. Check out her nonprofit here, Unbreakable Faith. And Michelle, where can people connect with you if they want to learn more, if they just want to follow your journey and see how you're changing the world?
Well, we're all over. If they go to the website, they'll see all of the other connections. We're on YouTube now, and also my site has everything that you want to know. Everything. that you want to see up there. I mean, we're on Facebook. They can go to Facebook, and if they go to Facebook, you can see me there. Unbreakable Faith. If you pull that up, you'll see a whole lot that we're doing. Like right now, we're doing a coat drive and a blanket drive as blankets of love, coats of warmth for our youth and our young adults. We've also done a back to school drive. Please visit our site. We're always, 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 just as anyone but me personally, our organization, we need help. As a nonprofit, nonprofits need money to operate. Nonprofits, you are the people who support us. That's where the money's come in at. And we have to have that in order to operate a nonprofit. You have to have that, just like you stated, take some courses, make sure people sign up with you and, get these steps in order so that when you go out the door, you will be successful.
Yeah, that's so great. Well, thank you again for coming today. This has been a great episode. And please go check out the website, see how you can give if this cause resonates with you, and you feel called to contribute. Please do however you can. Thank you, Michelle. And we will be back with another episode of Harmonious at lunch tomorrow. I'll see you then.